Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and this is our weekly TV news show where we talk about TV news. We talk about renewals, cancellations, shows that are in development, casting updates, all that kind of thing. So that's what we're going to do. And traditionally, at the end of the show, we pick our favourite episode of TV of the week. That's not particularly exciting right now because there's not a lot of new TV shows on that we're covering because it's a quiet period. Although Better Call Saul's back next week, so that'll be winning for the foreseeable future. For the next
unless
10
Castle
weeks.
Rock really pulls off something that we don't expect it to.
Yes. Next 10 weeks is basically belong to Better Call Saul, so you can look forward to that. And we should warn you. There's a chance that the Saul review will be a day later than it normally would be. Typically, it would be up on the Tuesday sometime. After it airs on Monday. There's a small chance that it could end up being Wednesday, depending on a scheduling thing. But hopefully not. Hopefully we get to it on Tuesday, but it's worth mentioning. So, we have Better Call Saul next week, so we're looking forward to that. But yeah, we got news to talk about, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about news. So, without further ado, we will dive into this. And a couple of quick things that we'll start with. American Horror Story has been renewed for season 10 by FX, so that's still going strong.
Not really a surprise.
Not a surprise. Although once we're at season 10, it's like, damn, that started in what, 2009 then at this point? Like,
Yeah,
I think so. Give or take.
maybe 2010.
But no, it's like, damn, that's been going for a while. Again, I always say this, but for the shows that I don't watch, and then it's like all of a sudden it's on like season 8 or season 10 or whatever, I'm like, wait, that's been going on that long? How did we get to that number?
Yeah, no, I know.
But
apparently it started in 2011, according to IMDb.
well, they must have had 2 in 1 year at some point then.
Season 8 premiere. Season 8 isn't till this September.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so they're just renewing 2 seasons ahead then. I assume 10 was the next one.
I'm assuming that IMDb is giving me this here, so
Okay.
yeah, so they're ahead. So it's not that old. I mean, it's not young, but it's not quite as old as you thought.
Alright, okay. Alright. But hey, so that's happening. Dangerous Book for Boys was cancelled at Amazon after 1 season. That was the Bryan Cranston produced show. So, I mean, we never checked it out. So, I mean,
I vaguely remember it being a thing.
We have no, like, love lost over this announcement. But if you enjoyed the show, obviously it sucks. But hey ho. Also, bit of news that we somehow missed like a month ago, but we discovered it this week, so we thought we'd mention it. The Deuce season 2 is coming back on September 9th. That's its premiere date on HBO. So obviously we covered season 1. We liked season 1 a lot. Obviously it's from the creators of The Wire, so it's a very dense, like, well done character drama. So you can expect that from us. So I mean, the news itself that it's coming is like a month old. Somehow it's slipped through the radar.
Your radar. You're the one who finds the news.
My radar, yeah. So it's my radar, but it slipped. What can I say? It happens. It happens occasionally. But yeah, so that's coming in September. And then next up, we have we had a confirmation actually that Daredevil season 3 will premiere on Netflix this year. It is coming in 2018. Now that's not that big a deal, but why that is notable? It will mean that all 4 Defender shows will have had a season in 2018 because Jessica Jones season 2 already happened this year. Luke Cage just had its season like a month ago or something like that. Iron Fist is, I think, dated for September.
Yeah.
And then,
I think it's worth noting, Iron Fist is only going to be 10 episodes as well,
which is a first for those Netflix Marvel shows.
Yeah, it's actually I mean, we're still not watching it, but it's a sign of willing to adapt finally.
Perhaps. Obviously, Defender was shorter, but that was always envisioned as a shorter thing. All the regular shows were always 13, so that's an interesting thing. Although I'm fully expecting Daredevil to still be 13 because it's more popular, but
Probably, yeah.
But yeah, so no, it's interesting that all 4 came in 1 year. It's funny because we gave up on the Marvel Netflix shows, and I think, like, I guess I'm relieved. I'm like, yeah, well, I'm kind of glad that we stopped doing them because now I didn't have to cover like these every couple of months. Because
yeah,
it can
I'm
be
still
a
like
bit
slightly
exhausting.
curious in Daredevil, but I'm not sure I'm curious enough to actually watch it.
Yeah, it feels a bit exhausting if you're not been into it. If you're still enjoying these shows, then great. You're on top of the world. You're getting 4 in 1 year, and it makes me wonder: is that going to like hold to some capacity next year? Like, are they going to be ready with like season 3 of Jessica? I mean, I know season 3 of Jessica Jones is actively being worked on. They've talked about it.
It'll be Punisher next, right?
That got renewed, so yeah, you would expect that to be next. You'd expect that, and then to go back round to Jessica Jones, and then
you'd think, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think they'll hit 4 next year. I feel like it's the way the dominoes have fell that it's kind of landed that all 4 of these could happen in the same year. I feel like next year it might just be 2 or 3. It might just be like Punisher and then Jessica Jones.
I can see 3, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe Luke Cage right at the end of the year.
Maybe, yeah.
I do think it's the way it's fallen. I think the fact as well that the reason why they can speed up is Defenders. Not doing that again. Means scheduling is way easier because they don't have to have everyone, take it all away from all their individual shows and do this thing first.
Yeah, so we won't be covering Daredevil season 3, but it's coming this year. So if you're looking forward to it, that's cool. Next up, NBC announced that Timeless will get a 2-part series finale. Sometime. There's no date for it yet, but the speculation is it'll be in the winter, kind of roughly when it aired last year. So instead of getting a season this year, we're going to get just a 2-part finale. Which
it's just nice. I saw someone say it was in the fall, usual network time. So I don't know what's going on there.
No, my article says winter time. Winter holidays was the exact phrase they used.
Okay, fair enough. Wherever I saw, earlier in the week when this first broke, must have been just speculating.
Yeah, I feel like I wouldn't expect it back in like September.
No, I wasn't expecting quite that early. I was thinking, late October maybe. But yeah, that's doable for it's only 2 episodes.
It's doable, but I mean, if they weren't even prepping for it yet, I mean, we're it's August now.
That's fair.
So
I'm not disputing that. I'm just I was just that's what people were assuming at the first.
But no, so I wouldn't expect it till like January, February. That's when I'm expecting it. But yeah, I mean, it's just nice to get a finale. Obviously, we'll cover it because we watched the whole show, so we'll watch this finale and we'll see how it wraps up because they did leave us with a big cliffhanger. Obviously, we'll get like a 2-hour version of whatever the ending of the show was going to be because it's almost a shame because they set up this whole new status quo at the end of the season 2.
Yeah,
and it's a shame that'll just be like a one story rather than that'll be the ongoing thing for a year.
No, I agree, but it's better than no story.
It is. It's better. We're getting a conclusion. That's nice. That's fun. So that's cool.
Yeah, you gotta be grateful for what you can get in a circumstance like this because this was no guarantee. In fact, a lot of people working on it were pretty sure this wasn't going to happen a couple of weeks ago. They were talking about, okay, contracts have expired. We've missed the boat. It's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, I think
that we've got everyone back for this is cool.
I think it's just easier to get them all back because it is just like a movie essentially, rather than another season of work. So as much as the contract's expired, but I mean you're not the biggest stars in the world, we can get you back for what is essentially an 80-minute movie. So
no, absolutely.
So Timeless is getting his finale, so you can look forward to that. Next up, we had a couple of trailers from Netflix for things that are coming up later this year. One of which we talked about the premiere date last week. That is Maniac. This is the Emma Stone, Jonah Hill, quirky psychiatric hospital show. I sound more confused than I did before because now that I've seen the teaser, I'm not entirely sure what to expect from this.
I'm the same.
The teaser is them sitting in a room, just like a plain white room, and they're facing each other. And there's a little bit of narration just talking about psychosis or some shit, and then it gets just kind of trippy, and there's like colours flashing on the screen and like cut up the images, and then at the end Emma Stone smiles a little bit, and it just says Maniac.
I'm kind of into it.
I'm curious. Well, it's Cary Fukunaga, so I'm like, okay, it's got style. The fact that he's directed
the style itself is really reminding me of Legion.
Oh, a little bit. I can see that. But him directing it is basically why we were probably going to cover the whole thing anyway. But it's intriguing. I will say that.
That's what I was saying. This trailer has me intrigued. I'm like, I don't know what this show is, but it's got style. It knows what it's doing clearly, and that makes me want to see it.
So that's Maniac. And then the other trailer we got for our Netflix show was called The Good Cop. We talked about this when it came up in the news a while ago. This is the one with Tony Danza, and he's the father who's kind of he was a bit of a shady cop, and he went to prison for a little bit. He came back. He's come back. His son's now this detective that everyone kind of makes fun of for being too good. He's the opposite of his father. He's straight arrow, by the book. So I think when we talked about this, I assumed it was a bit more serious. Actually, watching the trailer, it's a very light-hearted show. It honestly looks like something that would be on a network.
It does. It also looks kind of awful. I mean, I think it does.
Awful might be hard. I mean, it might be awful. I don't know.
No, I thought this was atrocious.
I think it just looks very generic to me. It doesn't look necessarily awful. Just
I thought most of the comedy made me groan. Like, it was like offensively bad. I think there was like one moment in the entire trailer where I was like, "Yeah, it's all right." You know, when he was he bribed the ethics council. I'm like, okay.
Yes, he bribed the ethics council so that his son could put on a seminar at an ethics convention. And there's a nice tinge of irony to that he bribed his way into an ethics convention. But I mean, I don't want to watch it. It doesn't look like anything I would enjoy. But
honestly, I'm just glad that for whatever reason this is out the same day as Maniac, so I can just safely go, no, I don't need to waste time on that. I got something better to watch.
So clearly we're promising we'll do an episode of The Good Cop before we start Maniac on that day. That's what's going to happen. Clearly,
I'm actually intrigued as to why Netflix are putting both of those out on the same. I mean, I know they're different audiences, don't get me wrong, but it
very
still
different.
Seems weird, but it just seems weird to put two shows out like that.
The Good Cop's for your middle-aged to old CBS viewer. That's what that's for. And then
it is.
Maniacs.
It's the same day now. I remember. Yeah, September 21st, same day, isn't it?
Yeah. So Maniacs for the rest of the people with maybe some taste, perhaps.
Yeah.
But honestly, I don't agree that it's offensively bad. I think it looks inoffensively generic.
You would be wrong.
Shut up. Moving on. We actually got news about Fargo season 4. They're going to shoot next year and hopefully actually premiere next year, which basically means to me they're shooting in January, February when it's winter, and then we'll get it sometime in summer or
That's what
maybe
happened
fall.
the delay between seasons before. They always have to wait for the winter to shoot.
Yes.
So yeah, we'll probably get it probably like next October time.
Maybe it could be summer. Honestly, it could be anywhere from like June through end of the year.
It could be. I feel like though they'll probably want to just save it for the winter because it's a wintry show.
That has absolutely no basis because season 3 did not do that at all. Season 3 was like
I know it did,
May.
but it should. Yeah, but May's still chilly, depending on where you are. All right, fine. They went for Australian winter. What do you want me to say?
Just you're wrong. Accept it.
No, I won't. They should use logic.
Like you're arguing, I should wait for winter time because it's wintry. And I'm like, no, the very last season we got was a summer show.
I'm aware of that. I'm saying they should. Not that they will. Should.
In fact, that's the reason why I'm thinking it'll probably be in like June or something like that, because that sounds about right timeline wise. That said, though, season 2 didn't air till like September, October, so I mean it could push there. So like I say, it could be anything in between. It could be anything from between those days. So we'll see. But we got information about it as well, and some big casting for it. Chris Rock is going to be in Fargo season 4, which is totally not a name I would have ever predicted in a million years. Is Chris Rock.
So last season we had Ewan McGregor and David Thewlis.
Mm-hmm.
Now we got Chris Rock. Okay.
It's a natural progression. I don't know what you're saying.
Sure.
So he's going to be the star. It's always been a bit of an ensemble though, so I wouldn't necessarily say lead, but he's definitely going to be the first big name they've announced. I'll assume we'll get some bigger announcements as well as we go. But yeah, so he's going to be in it. It's the story of immigration and assimilation and the things we do for money. Well, to be fair, Fargo's always had a bit of a what do we do for money
the things we do for money
vibe for it. It's set in 1950s, or specifically 1950 actually, in Kansas City, Missouri, where two crime syndicates, one Italian and one African American have struck an uneasy peace. To cement their peace, the heads of both families have traded their eldest sons. Rock will play the head of one of the syndicates, who has surrendered his son to the enemy, and who must raise his son's enemy. Wait, what? His son's enemy? I guess that still works, but I mean, they didn't really establish that the sons hated each other as well. His enemy's son, I think, would have been more applicable there.
I agree.
But as his own, he has to raise his son as his own. But then the head of the Kansas City Mafia goes into hospital for routine surgery and dies, and then everything changes. So my first thought is, okay, so this is basically based on the New Gods, and
that's what I was just about to say. I've not actually read this yet, and I'm like, why are we doing New Genesis and Apocalypse?
Yeah, this is Apocalypse and New Genesis. This is Mr. Miracle and Orion. As a DC Comics fan, that's all I can see in this description.
Yeah, same.
But that's okay. That's okay. It sounds fine.
Noah
Hall
is definitely a fan of that. He
Nah,
feels like a Kirby fan.
I mean, maybe he is. I mean, it makes Legion, so yeah, it wouldn't shock me if he was. But I don't think the concept of like, the enemies having to swap sons to like keep the peace is unique to Fourth World.
Oh, absolutely not. But I'm just saying in general, he feels like a Kirby fan.
He probably is. So no, it sounds like a fine plot. This is the furthest back we've went, because obviously season 2 was the 70s. Now we're going back to the 1950s. So we're jumping around a lot in the time. So
no, that's cool. I'm down for it. A bit different.
Yeah. So season 3,
Fargo's weirdly, it's one of those shows where you tell me the plot description like that, and it sounds like something I shouldn't be interested in. You know, crime syndicates, mafias. You know, I'm like, usually, but I know what to expect from Fargo as a rule.
Yeah, season 3 had some real high points, but ultimately I thought was the weakest of the three, and I thought the ending was a bit of a damp squib. So I'm hoping for a return to the quality that I have come accustomed to.
Had some time off to recharge, right? Not just rushing into it.
That's true.
So maybe I'll be because I remember Noah Hawley saying quite a bit. It's like, yeah, I'll do the next season when I've got a story for it. It wasn't just I'm going straight into it. So clearly he's had some time away and gone, okay, I've got something.
Well, it's just to confirm, he is writing and show running again and directing, so he is back.
Oh, I had just assumed that actually, but you're right. You should confirm.
He's full on back. He's not just like because it wouldn't surprise me when he wants to be done if he's just like listed as executive producer and someone else is taking the reins.
Yeah, he's a busy man. Let's be honest.
Especially in a show like this where it is like such standalone stories. Like someone else could come in and do season 5 or 6 or whatever.
They could, and they'd have to prove themselves. But yeah, I'm okay with this.
So no. So here's hoping. But next up, we had even more casting for Supergirl. This week. We had two. I actually didn't put the first one down because we talked about it in the TV Multiverse podcast we do, which is our DC TV podcast, and we typically talk about the DC TV news again in that. So there was new casting earlier in the week where Rona Mitra has been cast as Mercy, who traditionally is Lex Luthor's like bodyguard / assistant and is typically a robot. She might not be a robot, but she's going to be Lena's like bodyguard or whatever in Supergirl. So
as you'd expect,
that's the thing. So that's happening, and then so I actually knew who she is. She was in like a Doomsday, which was a post-apocalyptic movie. She was in Hollow Man. She replaced Kate Beckinsale in Underworld movies for a bit. So she's she's not a huge actress, but it's someone that I know the name of. Like she's been in a couple of things. Arguably even bigger than that, just because he's attached to a bigger franchise, although he himself is not a huge star. Brent Spiner has been cast in Supergirl in a recurring role. He's going to be the vice...
I'd say he's more recognisable to a lot of people.
Yeah, if you like Star Trek.
I mean, yeah, but that's more people than Underworld, I would assume. And, some of the other stuff you listed.
It probably is. Well, that's why I said only because it's a bigger franchise. He's more like.
Yeah.
I don't think he himself though is actually that big a star.
It's not a huge. I still think in general, though, like because even having never watched that Star Trek stuff with him, I knew who he was, right? Like I have done for a long time.
Yeah, but you're a nerd. Like he talks about movies and the internet.
No, that's fair, but I feel like he's just that automatically. I feel like even in certain circles, sure, maybe that's in nerd circles, but. Nowadays, that's quite a lot. I feel like he's probably a bigger name.
Sure. I didn't expect you to fight. That was just a throwaway introduction to
It
what I was
was, but
talking
I feel
about.
like you're kind of insulting to him. You're underselling the man. Who's he playing anyway?
The vice president. I don't want to talk about it, but you interrupted me. I
Okay.
don't care. We can move on.
Yeah.
He's playing the vice
I think they
president.
said we're getting what's her name back as the president as well.
Under Carter.
For at least one of yeah.
Well, that makes sense. If we're going to have the vice president, I'd hope that we.
Yeah.
Yeah. It says.
Well,
Let me finish.
I was
God
gonna
damn it. Let me finish. Let me finish. It says that he is adept, politically minded, and an unlikely leader, but he steps up in a big way when his country needs him most. So I'm expecting Linda Carter to die. I'm expecting a president assassination.
yeah. And I was gonna say, you say, oh, you'd expect her to be around if we're doing the vice president. If anything, I'd say that's a reason not to have her around. You have the vice president stand in instead, because we can't get her around. Let's get this guy instead.
Yeah, but you already confirmed yourself that she is coming back.
No, she is, but I'm just saying your reasoning didn't make any sense. Your logic was flawed.
No, I think it is flawed. No, I see what you're saying, but you're looking at it from an outside the show logistics thing. I'm looking at it from no, we should see both the president and the vice president. That makes more sense to me. Because what you're saying would distract me, because I'd say the only reason why we even have this guy is because Linda Carter's not available.
Yeah, I feel like that. I mean, maybe that is partially outside the show. Is that would be the case, but I don't think it's that uncommon. The vice president does his own thing, separate to the president.
It's not uncommon, but it's always a little bit distracting when we never see the president. We just always see the vice president.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, so moving on, Doom Patrol gets some casting as well. Diane Guerrero has signed on for it. She's going to play Crazy Jane, an unlikely superhero suffering from the world's most severe case of multiple personality disorder. Each of her 64 distinct personas manifest a different superpower, making Jane the Doom Patrol's most powerful member, and also is the most unstable. She joins the previously announced cast member of April Bowlby as the last woman. So
it's split, turned up to the extreme.
Seems so. Different superpower for
down.
every personality. Okay, so that's the thing. Moving on, so this is on to some of the new shows then. So we're on to comedies. Podcaster, vlogger, and comedian Kid Fury is developing a half-hour HBO comedy series. It's untitled right now, but Lena Waithe is going to be executive producing. The untitled project is described as a surreal dark comedy that follows Greg, a 20-something sarcastic gay black man navigating adulthood and responsibility in New York City while struggling to wrap his head around the undiagnosed clinical depression that he's been diagnosed with. So
No. He hasn't been diagnosed with. That's the point.
or not diagnosed.
Undiagnosed.
I don't know. I phrased
He's
it.
been afflicted with.
I phrased the end of the sentence weird, so I just picked a thing to wrap it up with.
Yeah, afflicted with.
Afflicted with, sure. But yeah, so this is the thing. So it's okay. I feel like
I don't know who this guy is that's creating it, so
No,
I don't have any basis for what the tone or quality is.
nor do I, but I think pointing out that it's a surreal dark comedy is the main thing that kind of drives it, because I'm like, okay, right, so he's got clinical depression, so it's going to be this kind of like dark point of view of the world. I assume it's going to be funny, but it's going to have this real sort of dark tinge to it, where maybe it can actually really explore the condition through his humor and through how he tackles things. I think there's potential there. I mean, I have no idea how creatively good this guy is, but HBO again is developing a half-hour comedy. It's called Lesser Gods. It's based on the podcast, another podcast. Podcast is created by Colleen Scriven, and the series is set in a future where men and women are no longer able to reproduce. The 5 youngest people on Earth indulge in parties, affairs, rivalries, and fame while contending with the struggle to save the species. So we have 5 teenagers or 20-somethings, and the only 5 teenagers or 20-somethings on the entire planet, because they're the
sounds
last.
kind of fun.
Potentially, I could see it going into just okay, this is just a shitty teen soap, but it just happens to be the last 5 teens on Earth.
It could be, yeah.
Or it could do
I
something.
typically expect better from HBO.
Yes, that's fair. That's a fair point. But it's interesting. Again, I have no idea if this podcast is any good, but It definitely sounds like it's taken the 20-something or teen drama and doing a different spin on it. You know, turning it up to 11 because they're the only ones here now. So yeah, and they'll be looked down upon, and that's why they're famous, presumably, because they are the 5 youngest.
I would assume so. Yeah.
Yes. So it's interesting. Interesting. We got to a point where, because presumably the birth rate fizzled out over time, and it got to a point where there was just one last generation of we had 5 kids born in the last 10 years or whatever it's been.
Yeah, you'd think
not the last 10 years, but 20 years ago.
10 years before they were born, maybe.
Yeah. So yeah. Moving on, Hulu is giving a 6-episode series order to a comedy called Shrill. It comes from Saturday Night Live cast member Aidy Bryant. Shrill is based on the memoir by writer Lindy West titled Shrill, Notes from a Loud Woman. That's a great title.
Sounds like hell.
Sounds like a great title to me. So Lorne Michaels and Elizabeth Banks are executive producing. Shrill is described as focusing on Annie, a young woman who wants to change her life, but not her body. Annie is trying to make it as a journalist while juggling bad boyfriends, sick parents, and a perfectionist boss, while the world around her deems her not good enough because of her weight. She starts to realise that she is as good as everyone else, and she acts on it. So that's a sort of self-esteem kind of wisecracking character, for the sounds of it. But yeah, so Hulu, 6 episodes. Hulu's given to that.
Cool.
Moving on, Sony Pictures Television is in the workings of resurrecting the Facts of Life, which I had never heard of before this article. So
can't help you, sorry.
Bear with me. So sources confirmed that Jessica Biel and Leonardo DiCaprio are both in talks with Sony to act as executive producers through their production companies Ocean Films and Appian Way. So Sony's got the distribution rights to the show, which is currently in early talks for launching a reboot. It currently does not have a network attached or anything like that. The original show premiered in 1979 as a spin-off to another popular sitcom called Different Strokes. That I've heard of.
Yes.
It ran for 9 seasons until 1988 on NBC, making it one of the longest running television shows in the 1980s. The half-hour episodes revolved around Charlotte Rae's character Edna Garrett, as she becomes a house mother for an all-girls boarding school, Eastland School, in the southern tip of New York. So it's a boarding school sitcom.
Yeah. It's kind of weird, 9 seasons and neither of us have ever heard of it.
I think it's just old enough that it's just...
slightly before our time, yeah.
Don't get me wrong, there's some sitcoms that I know from the 80s that I like a lot, but I think once you get back to the 80s with sitcoms, a lot of that doesn't necessarily carry forward and translate as well. I feel like a lot of the sitcoms that I grew up watching did at least continue into the 90s and were kind of around.
No, it's true. I do, obviously, where we grew up in Britain, it depends what made it across the pond, right, to us, and that's, we watch reruns of what you were given at the time. Now it's obviously different. You watch whatever you want. But I wonder if this one never kind of made it across as much.
Yeah. So that's it. Facts of Life. So this is very early, seemingly, but they're going for it. So, next up, Warner Brothers. Speaking of reboots, they're in early stages of rebooting the classic sitcom Alf, which I only know what Alf is because of Mr. Robot. I'm not gonna lie. That's basically the reason why I know what it is.
Same.
No writer yet is attached to the project, which would again explore the misadventures of the titular cat-eating Alf. Okay, I hate him already.
Love him.
Which stands for alien life form. No, blast him into orbit.
I'm sorry, this is an alien that eats cats? Take my money.
No. Get rid of him. Shoot him in the head.
Can I get like 6 of them for myself?
Shotgun to the back of the head. Kill him quickly. So, in the original series, Alf of the planet Melmac crash lands in the suburbs and takes up residence with the middle-class Tanner family. The show aired from 1986 to 1990 for 4 seasons and over 100 episodes on NBC. That'll be back when there was 26 episodes a season. That's why they hit 100.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I was like, for some reason I always associate that as 70s and earlier. Not. I didn't realize it went as late as like 1990.
Yeah, I guess that's just like, it sounds so weird to us. We were like, that must be old. That must be ancient. It doesn't sound like something
Yeah.
we'd consider that recently. So apparently one of the ideas that has been reported as discussed for the reboot would involve Alf emerging from Area 51, where he's been held captive since the original series finale, and is observing how much the world has changed since that time. So it would be Alf would be continuing on, but presumably. I mean, you might
Whole
get
new cast around
yeah.
him.
You maybe I mean maybe they'll say it's the Tanner family, like the kids growing up. So now it'll technically be the same characters, but now it can just be whoever
Nah,
the
they all
cast.
died.
Um,
It was a
but
plane crash.
so obviously we have no attachment to Alf, but hey, this is something that people remember. It's something that kind of stuck around in pop culture, oddly, even though we're not super familiar with it. But
Yeah.
there you go. Alf might be coming back. Alf, Fraser, and that other one that I never heard of. So
That you've just forgotten the name already.
yes.
I think it was Facts of Life.
There you go. That sounds like it. Yeah, facts of life. So here's the big stuff. So we talked about this when it was in development, but now it's officially been ordered. And this is called Devs. This is the Alex Garland show that FX have now ordered. Yeah. So it's been ordered to pilot, that's what we talked about before, but it follows a young computer engineer named Lily Chan as she investigates the secret of development division of her employer named Amaya, a cutting-edge tech company based in San Francisco, whom she believes are behind the murder of her boyfriend. FX has given it an 8-episode order. We have a big cast list here, descriptions for other cast members. Obviously, Lily we kind of know. But so Garland's going to be writing and executive producing along with Andrew McDonald and Alan Reich. Sonoya Mizuno will play Lily Chan. Nick Offerman will play Forrest. Forrest is the CEO of Amaya, whose obsession with the covert work of the company's development division. So that's a good get, Nick Offerman. Come on now.
Yeah.
Jin Ha will play Jamie, a gifted cybersecurity specialist who is Lily's former boyfriend. Zach Greiner will play Kenton. Terstry and Dangerous. Kenton is the head of the security at Maya. Stephen McKinley Henderson will play Stuart. Stuart is cultured and intellectual from another era, one of the top technical minds working in Amaya's secret development division. Kaylee Spaney will play Lyndon, a young, brilliant, stubborn employee who works in Amaya's secret development division. And then Alison Pill, who I know that one. There's a lot of names I didn't know.
Yeah.
Alison Pill I don't know.
I know this one as well.
Alison Pill will play Katie, a gifted quantum physicist tapped by Forrest to be his second in command at Amaya. So there's a cast.
It is. Obviously, I only recognise 2 of the names, but hey, I'll take it.
Yeah, but obviously, I mean, I don't care who the cast are. It's Alex Garland doing something that the original description did say was sci-fi. So this, it might not sound super sci-fi yet, but it's going to veer into sci-fi. Whatever their secret development lab is working on.
I mean, that's Alex Garland though, so what do you expect? I'd hope that he directs at least the first episode and maybe the last.
He probably will. I know it doesn't mention that he's directing, but he probably end up well directing some. So if you don't know who Alex Garland is, he did Ex Machina and he did Annihilation earlier this year, so that's who we're talking about. So there you go. Speaking of FX, they have also ordered a new drama called Shogun, based in the James Clavell novel. Shogun is set in feudal Japan and charts the collision of 2 ambitious men from different worlds and a mysterious female samurai. John Blackthorne is a risk-taking English sailor who ends up shipwrecked in Japan, a land whose unfamiliar culture will ultimately redefine him. Lord Toranaga, a shrewd, powerful dynamo, he is at odds with his own dangerous political rivals, and Lady Mariko, a woman with invaluable skills but dishonourable family ties, who must prove her value and allegiance. FX has ordered a 10-episode first season. Ronan Bennett will write the series and executive produce. So that's coming. Just a little bit in the novel. The original novel was published in 1975 and became a major bestseller with more than 30 million copies sold. It previously inspired the 1980 NBC miniseries of the same name, which starred Richard Chamberlain as Major John Blackthorne, Toshiro Mifune as Lord Yoshi Toranaga, and Yoko Shimada as Lady Toda Mariko. So Mifune was in the miniseries. That's cool.
That is cool. I will say, I mean, I like the sound of everything. A little bit, it sounds like, okay, here's the white guy coming in, right? Maybe the plot actually doesn't, it's not as bad as I'm assuming. I don't know. I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, I have no idea. I've never heard of this before, but yeah, I mean, that kind of gave me like a little flag as well. I was like, so we're following the white guy in like feudal Japan.
Yeah.
But hey, it at least
I
sounds
mean,
like the rest of the
I'll reserve
cast.
judgment, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at least sounds like the rest of the cast will all be, Japanese at least. So
Yes, yes. Eliza, I'll reserve judgment till we at least. I don't even know what the plot is and how much we're following this guy, or if what exactly is going on. So maybe we're worrying over nothing.
yeah, but I mean, it kind of feels like the plot might be that he learns to be a shogun, and then is very good at it, and then it'll be kind of going down that path.
It might. It very well might. Yeah.
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 So certainly I'm not against a feudal Japan show from someone like FX that could do it somewhat
I'm
justice.
surprised we haven't really had much of that on TV, to be honest.
That's kind of what we're hinting at. The TV networks like their white leads, and setting something in feudal Japan makes that a bit more difficult.
It's just samurai movies have been popular, with American audiences for a long time. I'm just surprised TV never went, yeah, let's do that.
So next up, speaking of things coming back, this is something that's been resurrected a couple of times now. 24 could once again live. Fox, with Howard Gordon, the original series producer, showrunner, and co-creators Joel Surnow and Bob Cochran, are working on a new iteration of the series. This one is going to focus on a young Jack Bauer, and it's in the early phases of development. So,
just what everyone wants.
Yeah, so not a lot to go on, but I think it's funny that as we're hearing about a young Die Hard movie, like a young John McClane prequel, we're getting a young prequel 24 in the works at the same time. I think that's kind of interesting. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed a lot of 24. What I watched of it. It's sort of thing. I don't know if I'd ever go back and watch it again. I don't know if it's something that I feel the need to revisit. But it was a fun show. It was a fun popcorn show for what it was.
That's fair. I watched the one episode of, was it called Legacy?
Legacy, that was the one.
Legacy.
Yeah, that was the second time it came back. Because the first time it came back was Live Another Day, or Die Another Day. No, Live Another Day, whatever one it was. That was when Kiefer Sutherland came back. It was essentially like a half-9 season of the show, but it came back a few years later for that. And then Legacy was the new guy, last year. I think it was early last year.
It was 2 years ago now, wasn't it?
2 years? Was it 2016? Whatever it was.
I think so.
It was recent.
I mean, it feels like a longer time ago than last year.
Oh,
well, look. I don't actually know.
I'm pretty sure it was around the Super Bowl. I want to say it was like the Super Bowl, give or take.
That sounds right, because it was like an episode on the Sunday, an episode on the Monday, wasn't it?
Yes.
No, it was 2016. It started.
Okay. So that happened. Didn't go very well. Cancelled after one season. But they're determined to get more 24, which is interesting because Fox this week, I was noticing a lot of Fox orders this week. Nothing that we'll be talking about, because they were ordering a shit ton of reality shows and game shows. That is what they're filling their schedule with. They're getting away for the most part from actual scripted content. There's actually very few new things from them.
Turns out the cop with a twist just doesn't bring in that many viewers.
Apparently not. They've still got The Gifted, and they're doing the relaunch of Tim Allen's show, the conservative one. Everyone's
yeah.
Moving on, HBO has ordered a series adaptation of Audrey Niffenegger's novel The Time Traveler's Wife, and this is a Stephen Moffat who's going to be doing this. Who, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't he steal plot ideas from this for multiple Doctor Who episodes already?
Yeah, he's publicly said this quite a few times that it's one of his favorite stories, and he's wanted to work on it for a long time, which is why he sort of adapted it into Doctor Who at points.
Yes. I actually saw the movie for this. There was a movie in 2009 starring Rachel McAdams and Eric Bana, and it'd been okay. I don't remember particularly loving it.
It's not a very you sort of movie, though, is it?
Nah. Time Traveler's Wife tells the story of Claire and Henry and a marriage with a problem. That problem is time travel. That doesn't help us very much, to be honest. Basically, he jumps into different parts of her life because he's time traveling all over the place, and that's just kind of wacky. Hey, I love time travel stories. There's no reason why this can't work for me. That just played it more as just more of a sort of dry romance. It just happened to involve time travel, as opposed to actually using it to create the emotion that I would want from such a story. But hey,
I think if you want that sort of story, About Time, I think it was called. It's more of a rom-com, but it's kind of, doing that sort of stuff with the time travel, and it's pretty fun. Recommend it.
See, that just sounds like more of what I don't like. Well, not I wouldn't say don't like about Time Traveler's Wife, just more of what I'm uninterested in with Time Traveler's Wife.
It uses the time travel quite effectively to jump around, create these circumstances. It's a pretty fun movie.
I don't know, I've not seen it. I have no comment. You've been shoving that movie down my face for about 2 years now, so
I've mentioned it like 6 times in like.
I
4
remember.
years.
I remember its name because you've mentioned it so much. That means you've mentioned it too much, too much.
Maybe.
So, yeah. Do you have anything to add on?
No, I'm just trying to check a specific Doctor Who episode. That I'm wondering, was that Moffat? Because it was before he was showrunner, but I know obviously he wrote a bunch of episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm on because it sounds it's very very similar. Yeah, that was a Moffat one. The Girl in the Fireplace. That's the one that I was thinking of, that he directed it quite directly.
Adapted it directly.
It's like a. Yes, that's what you said, didn't it?
They said directed it quite directly.
Huh. Could have sworn I said adapted it quite directly. Whatever.
Moving on. This is something I actually forgot to put in last week, even though I said to you, I didn't remember to put this back in because I forgot to put it in when I initially did the news, and then forgot to do that. So Tom King's working on a TV show. He's working on a TV show called States of America, with First Look Media and Topic and production company Playground. So he's writing this directly for TV. This is not based on any of his comic books. This is just him writing a TV show. It's a dystopian saga called States of America. So details aren't super, deep right now. But according to the press release, the show is set in a deeply divided US that, with an unprovoked act of war, has been forced to suffer foreign occupation for the sake of a tentative peace. It apparently explores a world where the old small differences that divide this country have become the war cries of new nations. So the US is all divided, basically. Hence the title, States of America.
Cool.
But I like Tom King well enough. Notably, the article I read from Vulture about this mentioned that, maybe they're realising that rather than just basing things on comic books, we could just hire the comic book writers to write things from scratch. Which I laugh at, because then I'm like, yeah, but at that point, how is it any different from just hiring any writer to write a new thing from scratch? We're almost going full circle to me at that point, where it's like, no, we're back to just hiring writers to create original ideas that
I think the point of what was it Variety that we're
Vulture.
saying is Vulture. I think what their point is, we shouldn't be looking down on comic book writers, that they're actually talented writers that can just do this. So we'll just hire them.
Sure, all right, okay, I'll take that. But I was like, yeah, so we're hiring writers to write original material. Yeah, let's
I
do
think
that.
It's like in the idea that comic book writers never get hired, or very very rarely get hired, to write comic book movies, right? You'd think, oh, okay, I need to write a superhero thing. Well, who knows I get a comic writer, right? But they never do. And so they're because of that, there's this stigma that, oh no, they're not actually good enough to do that. So I think that's what their sentiment is. It's like they're realizing that they are actually talented writers.
But we'll see how this turns out, because I mean, Tom King's a great comic book writer. We'll see if this ends up good.
Yeah, I think if for people who aren't familiar with Tom King, who is probably most of the audience, let's be honest, it's whether he brings a different angle to these sorts of stories, because he used to be a counterterrorism agent for the CIA, and that seeps into a lot of his stories, pretty much all of them, to be quite honest. So knowing that and hearing this concept, it just adds a little bit more of, okay, you can kind of see what to expect from it.
He tends to take whatever he's doing and turn it into a very human story as well. There tends to be a lot of emotion in it. I see potential in this, just knowing his comic book writing. Of course, he's currently writing Batman. He's currently, he's nearly done with a great miniseries for Mr. Miracle. Obviously, he's working at DC Comics right now.
Two Mr. Miracle references in one episode.
Yeah, that's weird, actually. Yeah, Mr. Miracle. Big thing these days. So moving on, Robert Kirkman's Skybound Entertainment has opted Zach Kaplan's new comic book from Top Cow called Eclipse for a development as a TV show. Eclipse, that comes from Kaplan and art by Giovanni Timpano, is set to be available in stores Wednesday. I wonder if that was the last Wednesday or this coming Wednesday. It depends when this news story went up. I didn't check. But so either it just came out this Wednesday or the first issue is going out next Wednesday. But anyway, so after a solar flare drives the human population underground, daytime surface conditions are monitored by workers like David Baxter, equipped with special suits that protect them from the sun's deadly radiation. Baxter's solitary patrol of the empty cityscape is interrupted when he finds the scorched remains of someone left outside to burn. Now he must solve the murder himself. So this is a futuristic sci-fi. Everyone's living underground because the sun's become too dangerous and the surface is too hot and radioactive to survive in. I like this setting. That sounds cool.
I do as well. It's funny because I was just thought, oh, I'll check to see, if it was this week or last week, and it was this week, but it was Eclipse #9 that came out.
All right, so this article's full of
description, shit. No, but this is interesting. The description says new story arc, and then pretty much does the description you just said. So I wonder if the first 8 issues were a different story entirely.
Well, maybe.
So when they say, the first issue, they mean the first issue of this story specifically.
Interesting. Okay, that's weird. But, yeah. I like the sound of it. It's interesting. I like the setting. It's post-apocalyptic, but in a different kind of way. I like the idea of them going into no man's land with the suits and stuff, and, I feel like there's potential here. I'm into this. Give it a bit of a budget, let it go wild, and I'm into it. And
have fun with it. Yeah.
And Kirkman has a deal with Amazon, so I feel like that's the first place it might go to.
That'll be the first place that'll get to choose if they want it, for sure.
And they might. Amazon likes to pick up shows. Why wouldn't they want this?
They do, and they're doing pretty well in getting some of that sci-fi stuff.
Yeah. So moving on, Latoya Morgan is developing a TV show at AMC based on Hugh Howey's Wool, which is originally released as a standalone story, a short story, and I put this one here specifically because of the one we just did. It tells a post-apocalyptic story that follows a sheriff, his wife, and their larger society forced underground due to toxic air on the surface of the planet.
I see why they go next to each other.
That's just a coincidence that we had these two very similar settings back to back. Human civilization put underground. So this is AMC though, so we have a network for this one. So the first story became an online sensation. Howie then published a series of stories continuing the journey in subsequent books that became the Silo series, Wool, Shift, and Dust. So
yeah, I've got these on my shelf. I've not read. They've been sat on the shelf for about 18 months. I've not read them yet.
So this is interesting. I think I like the sound of the other one a bit more, just because it gives me a bit more
unique, isn't it?
It's a bit more unique. Gives me a bit more story. I like the idea of the scorching sun. Like every time they come up top, there's like this scorching sun effect. Whereas this still sounds fine, but it sounds a bit more just sort of typical Fallout-y in terms of its setup.
It does, yeah.
So I don't know. But we'll see. But I'm all for dystopian and post-apocalyptic sci-fi TV shows, so give me more of them.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
I mean, they seem to be popular right now, let's be honest.
Next up, Showtime has ordered a pilot for Queen Fur from executive producer Eileen Myers. So Queen Fur is set in a small town in central Florida where beauty pageants, gun culture, Cuban revolutionaries, and southern hospitality coexist and collide. Lily Mae Harrington will star as Marcy Dunleavy, a high school dropout who is finding her womanhood and is ready to seize a big opportunity. Not to let it go on there, to be honest, but that's the thing.
Yeah, I can't get excited for that.
Yeah. HBO has picked up a drama called Euphoria, a series with both Drake and Future the Prince joining the show as executive producers. Yeah.
Future the Prince?
Yes. That's what he goes by.
What sort of name's that?
Some sort of wacky stage name. I assume he's a musician, just because he's mentioned there with Drake. Who I'm surprised I even know who that is. I barely know who that is, but
who the hell is Future the Prince?
But Euphoria follows a group of high school students as they navigate drugs, sex, identity, trauma, social media, love, and friendship. It is based on the Israeli series of the same name. There's a lot of Israeli shows being adapted these days. It's the same name from Hot that was created by so the same creator, sorry, as Hot, by Ron Leshem, and Daphne Levine. Both of whom are executive producers on the HBO version. Probably the most notable thing about this though is that Zendaya is going to play the lead role of Rue. So that's the interesting part, because she's quite talented. So that's pretty cool. Honestly, the idea of a HBO show set in high school that's sort of edgy and it's drugs and sex and stuff, I'm not that excited by that as a prospect.
No, HBO can get gratuitous at the best of times.
Yeah,
just because they can.
So I'm not really feeling it, but that's the thing.
I googled Future the Prince. Mm-hmm. He is a DJ and a music executive producer. Much like Drake, but also it says best known for being Drake's manager.
Okay.
So there's a very direct relationship between them, as to why they're working on this together.
Future the Prince. Last up this week, we have Crazy Rich Asians author Kevin Kwan has got a drama show in development at Amazon. The Untitled show comes from STX Entertainment. It is described as a globe-hopping drama set amongst Hong Kong's most influential and powerful family and the business empire they control. It's received to a script-to-series order. Doesn't sound like our sort of thing. I mean, the Crazy Rich Asians trailer, when we watched that, didn't really do much for me either.
Much for us, did it?
Not that he worked on that directly, I don't think. That was based on his book. I don't know if he actually had anything to do with the movie itself. But, yeah.
People seemed pretty happy with it, though. Fans of the book seemed happy with the trailer.
They did. I think for me, this is Amazon sort of having a diverse array of content. This is not the sort of thing that appeals to us, I don't think, is this rich family with businesses and stuff.
It's something we give Netflix a lot of credit for, being very diverse in their content. So it makes sense that Amazon are trying to do that as well.
And it's not like Amazon aren't doing a bunch of other stuff that we're excited plenty about. So it's cool.
We got a Ref and Brubaker show coming.
Yeah, we do. Oh, I can't wait for that. Cannot wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Yeah,
it just is.
That's the show. That's all the news this week.
Yeah. Also, I just a little tip I saw in an interview. They're talking about why The Last Man, and why they're calling it just Why. And we have queried this a few times, and they actually gave a very blunt answer. There was two reasons. One, they said in their experience, long titles don't work as well. They're not as catchy. They prefer 1 or 2 word titles. Apparently that's just better. And the secondly,
let's dispute that first. Why The Last Man is not that long a title, in my opinion, but continue.
I agree, but this is what they said. And the second reason, they went just from a graphical perspective. When they come to designing logos and posters, they feel like they can do a lot more with just a Y than they can with having to shoehorn the rest of the title on it.
I feel like people would just call it Y anyway, so it's not really a concern about how long it is. They just shorten it naturally, and I still think the biggest problem though is the searchability. It's awful, isn't it? Yeah, how do you search for that? Even simple words like Lost, searching for Lost is a nightmare. You have to type in Lost TV show to get any kind of proper results, because it's such a simple one-word thing. I'm not a fan of short titles typically. Actually, I tend to prefer when they're a little bit more intricate. I mean, that's the thing.
I think like a name, something unique, one word can work.
But here's the beautiful thing: is that you can shorten the title, and it works both ways. Like the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer, you can refer to it as just Buffy. People often do, but
most people do. Most people except you when you're doing your whole spiel.
But I still like the fact that the show itself is called Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It sounds like a better title.
Sounds better than Angel. What you're saying?
I think it's a better title than Angel. I do. Angel's in a sticky place though. What else do you call it? Really?
Yeah, it's a fair point.
I mean, I don't know what you call it. It's not like he has a nickname like Batman, where you can call him the Avenging Vampire or something like that.
They should have given him one just for that.
I always like because the pilot for Angel is called City of, and that was the joke that he's in Los Angeles now and he's an angel, he's Angel. I thought maybe you could do something with that. I don't know, just call it City of.
No, I'm with you. But no, I happen to agree that it's bullshit reasoning, but at least they're giving a reason. I kind of didn't expect them to bother.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't like the reasons,
I
but
No, I don't either, and I think the searchability far outweighs both of those reasons.
yeah, because I think
But
the shortening one's irrelevant because people will do that naturally anyway when they're talking about it.
yeah,
Again, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, people just say Buffy. What's another example from recent years? Sabrina the Teenage Witch, just Sabrina, easy.
yeah.
Or even the new one, Chilling Tales of Sabrina. People are just going to call it Sabrina. They can shorten it nice and easy. It's easy. But like the graphics thing, it's like, yeah, sure, but like
That feels like you're just not creative enough.
especially since I don't. I mean, honestly, I don't think you don't need to have the last man on the graphic. You could just still have just the Y,
Yeah, you could.
right? I don't know. It feels
No,
like bullshit to
I
me.
agree. It's like a lot of graphics for posters. They use a symbol, right? They create
Yeah.
a logo. They don't use just the whole title every time. So you can have the Y as the logo and the symbol, like no problem, and then just have the full title at the bottom of the poster or wherever it's applicable.
Yep. That'd be my.
It's kind of bullshit,
But hey.
but.
But that brings an end to the TV news for this week. So, of course, we will tell you what's coming up. We already told you at the start of the show, but Better Call Saul's back. That's coming. Season 4 starting. That's exciting. Obviously, there'll be another episode of Castle Rock, and that's it. We did decide not to continue with Sharp Objects this week, although there was some interest in me doing a solo thing for the next episodes. If there's more buzz for it, if there's more people asking, I'd consider it. But Connor was definitely out after episode 4, so that was just kind of the breaking point for him.
Yeah, I like Castle Rock this week though.
Castle Rock was fun. Yeah, we were up to date in that now. I mean, admittedly, it was more our scheduling problems and our delays that caused it, because we've handled 3 episodes on day 1 from Hulu before, but it didn't help, certainly. So we just took a little bit of catching up over the week to get up to episode 4 this week, but we were
We're
there.
good now.
So
Yeah, should be all right for next week.
yeah, we're back on track. So that is that. But that is pretty much it though. In terms of what's going up TV. Obviously,
Yeah.
the already cancelled is
next
still
week's-
going. Star Trek still happening.
Next week's going to be just Castle Rock and Saul, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Quiet.
And Better Call Saul is 99.9% is winning for best episode of the week.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong. I'm enjoying Castle Rock well enough, but it'd have to do something pretty spectacular to top what I expect from Saul.
Yeah. Saul is legitimately one of the best TV shows just currently going right now. So
It is, yeah.
it would be hard pressed for anything to beat it. I mean, had it been on during when like Expanse was on and Handmaid's Tale was on, then there was more of a fight.
World, yeah.
There was more of a fight then.
It was against Expanse last year, wasn't it?
It might have been.
I feel like it was. But I feel like it was better than season 2 of Expanse.
Yeah, but Expanse has gotten better since then. Expanse has continually improved
has.
upon itself.
But will Saul get better again? Because I mean, I'd say every season's gotten better so far.
For the most part, it has. Yeah, that's true. So we'll see. But that's the show. So let us know what you think in the comments below of the news items that popped up. Of course, head over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV if you want to support the channel and the show and everything we do here. Keep the stuff coming. Keep us doing more new stuff. I keep saying stuff. More new content, I guess, is what I'm really trying to say. And you get some bonuses over there. There's the exclusive monthly show, which is Almost Cancelled Extra /121 Extra, that alternates month to month. For $1, you get like this bonus discussion show. The first of each is up, so you can get the first Almost Cancelled Extras up, as is the first 121 Extra, and you can go and access them for $1, just $1. That's all you need to spend. But there's other stuff as well for the higher tiers. But have a look at that. All the different links to all the different shows we have are up there. In fact, our audio feeds are up there, and they're starting to go up on Spotify now as well, where we're expanding to Spotify in terms of the audio feeds.
Basically, we're trying to make it where wherever you want to listen to it, you can.
So you can check out that. Although interestingly, just on the Spotify thing, I was looking at the terms and conditions, right, for things you have to agree to go on Spotify, and it was like, oh, the content can't promote these things, and they all made sense. It was violence, hate speech,
the usual,
yeah. everything you expect, all the stuff you expect for like the first like 6 or 7 bullet points, and then the very last one was just, you're not allowed to promote any other music streaming services. Or well, the exact word was advertise. The exact word was advertise. But
that makes sense because you can discuss other music services. I assume.
I laughed. I was like, oh shit, we can't advertise. We can't say, hey, this is better than Spotify. This other service.
No. I think the thing is we can do that. I assume that refers to like paid advertisements of like you can't be putting an advert on your show for Apple Music.
I would rather play it safe though, and not even jokingly say, oh, by the way, I really like so and so's streaming service. Go check that out.
I have been trying YouTube's. They've given me a free trial. I mean, I'm still paying for my Spotify, but I thought, well, YouTube's giving me a free trial. I'll give it a try.
Is that any good?
I mean, okay. It's weird because Spotify, I just click the album and play, right? Yeah, it's pretty comprehensive in that sense. YouTube, it has most albums like that. It's a bit more finicky, but on the other side, I can go just anything that's on YouTube. I can just play as an audio only thing.
Yeah.
So I could just, like this, for example, I could just search it on YouTube and click play, and it would just play without the video, which has its uses, I imagine.
Yeah, if you're using your data and you want to just listen to it because you don't need the video necessarily for everything, then so that's a decent option there, I suppose. But...
Yeah, and I think it probably works for things like like live performances of things that aren't on Spotify, official releases of live performances.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's about it. I'm not going to pay for it. I'm going to carry it out with Spotify. But
this is fair enough. But here you go. That is TV news. So thank you very much once again for watching and listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?